excited to have Sam with us on this call right now. Sam, welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, oh my gosh, and your mom is with us. Thank you so much for joining me. This is really, really special. So Sam is a high-functioning individual on the autism spectrum, and he's on a mission to show the world that he's not broken, and individuals with autism do not need to be fixed. Sam is successful with autism, host of the podcast Autism Rocks and Rolls, CEO of his own nonprofit, and a motivational speaker. Welcome to Momnificent.
Thank you.
Woohoo! Sam, I love how you say people are differently abled, not disabled. And maybe you can start us out by either commenting on that or help us understand, like, how old were you when you were diagnosed? Like, what was the journey like for you then?
Well, I was diagnosed at 4. That's all I know as far as that. She knows more about that than I do. But I'm talking about being differently able. I think that no matter who you are, whether that be autism, spina bifida, Down syndrome, anxiety, depression, whatever that case is, you can still be successful regardless of that barrier. It's a barrier you.
Yeah.
You want to go into the story about
And so Gina,
Yeah.
yeah, like, Gina, what did you see and notice when he was what age?
Yeah, and I want to say before I do that though, I that's really the biggest part of our mission is to the word disability, but the word disability is definitely a thing. People are disabled, but have our own beliefs that everybody's disabled if we want to get technical about it. Everybody has challenges, and so the way we really like the differently abled. It's more positive. There isn't a negative connotation to it, and everybody's disabled, but everybody is also abled. We're just kind of like a big bunch of beautiful mess, is what we are. Like that's what. But as far as Sam and individually, because everybody has their own story, and we do have the nonprofit, but I will say we don't claim to be experts. I'm an educator by trade. That's what I do. I'm a teacher. Sam is a student he's studying media. He does have the podcast, but we're expert in our own story. And that's what I was like try to preface with. But as far as when Sam was diagnosed, he was diagnosed at 4. And I definitely did see signs of kind of classic textbook autism fairly early. And even some things when he was a baby that I didn't know at the time. He was the first child I'd ever had. He's our only one, and I didn't have anything to compare it to. So really the first thing we noticed was he really hated loud noises. What kind of beyond, he doesn't like it to a 3-hour meltdown because of a loud noise. He really had major meltdowns when you mess with his stuff, his toys. He had a very big delay in speech. I would say he didn't really speak full sentences until he was probably 3 or 4. When he was 2, when we went to the doctor, he was saying maybe 6 words, and so there was definitely a speech delay. We noticed that he lined things up. He still does, and that's okay. But as brand new parents, we were like, "What's happening? Why is he lining all of his stuff up and he's not playing with his toys? He's organizing." Which now I realize was a very high functioning executive functioning.
But I shouldn't be doing it at that
skill.
age. Maybe.
Right. It's a little concerning at that age.
Yeah,
but-
we're not used to that age, but
yeah,
there's
yeah. Like
technically nothing
I-
wrong with that.
and now I see having a 20-year-old, if I talk to other parents that are freaking out because their kids lining things up, I mean, my response is let them. Like, it doesn't hurt anything. That's how their brain needs to do that. So and then we put Sam in a special education preschool on purpose because there were experts there, and I just wanted them to kind of see what they thought. And within a week, we didn't get an official diagnosis, but the teacher, who was really, really good, he said it's I highly suspect that he has autism. And as a teacher, I had some kids in my class with autism. I wasn't an expert by any means, but then we went through the official evaluation, and he was 4, and it ruined our lives. We had a name for it, and we could get services, and I could research, and I could understand it more, and I could tell him, this is what you have, and it's okay. Like, this is why you're doing the things that you're doing. So,
And it made sense afterwards when you read it, because I was like, oh, okay, this is why I do this. And I'm the type of person who's like, all right, cut to the chase, almost like, just tell me what's going on. Don't need to butter it up, just let it out. And I'm like, all right, I know it now. Now I know this is the reason. This is why I'm doing all these certain behaviors. So now life is making sense. Versus 5 years old, why is no one talking to me? Why is no one else liking pro wrestling?
right. Then that was another thing, the fixation on things. And now we kind of have our own theory and our own beliefs about obsessions and fixations. But he did get very, very fixated on WWE wrestling when he was 6. And we were like, oh my, at first it was like, oh, this is what, most boys do. Well, we're 20 and there's still a fixation on WWE which it doesn't interfere with his functioning level, and he's very successful, and he's met 5 wrestlers that has been on his show. And so we're like, okay, he was just getting ready for that. That's what he was doing.
4 going to be 5.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
6.
Well, the 6 is a possibility.
Yeah.
The 5th is for sure. It just hasn't happened yet.
All right,
But 4th has happened previously.
I love that. So, like, Gina, what did you do with Sam with other kids, and how did you help other kids understand Sam?
Yeah, it was tough. I'm a teacher, and Sam, I taught in the same district that Sam went to school in. And so I'm sure there were times along the way, whether it be IEP meetings or things like that, that definitely made things easier because I was there and I could monitor the services and the things that he was getting. And I know the laws and I know the rules because I have to follow them myself, with a teacher, being a teacher. So that helped. But what I really couldn't help him a lot with was the social isolation sometimes and people not understanding him. I tried, I tried to explain to people, this is Sam and you need to accept Sam for how Sam is because we accept how you are. And I tried, but I teach middle school and I know how they are.
You want to tell them how they are?
This year, we're at the end of the school year, so they're away right now.
We're all at the end of the school year.
We're all at the end of the school year.
I hear you.
But as far as them accepting him, I tried really, really hard. But in the end, I couldn't make somebody play with Sam. I couldn't make somebody.
You can't force a conversation to happen, really. You can't send a school. You can't send, we can send a school somewhere, but you can't send a kid to the office for excluding a student. I wish you could, but that's not humanly possible.
I mean, you can use it as like teaching moments. I do it all the time. Like just today, my 6th period, they were frustrated and they were yelling at each other. And I'm like, hey, like, look at how we're treating each other right now. So you can use those as teaching moments, but I couldn't fix that for him. And I wanted to, but I tried really, really hard to educate the people around him to help them understand, to accept all people, including Sam, with the way that he thought. But it was very tough sometimes, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Sam, what was life like for you from what you remember at those young ages and growing up?
It was pretty difficult. I mean, school years were pretty rough. All the bullying, all the fun stereotyping you can imagine. I say fun, I'm being sarcastic there. But my point here is, in all seriousness, it was very rough. I wanted to be the popular kid, but never got that opportunity. And I just thought because I wasn't that popular kid at that time frame, who didn't have the jock attitude, who didn't have the body, I guess I can say, at the time frame, it just wasn't going to work. And just because of how society is. But what I really missed was just feeling kind of left out with not having friends that weren't my buddy. I mean, take case in point, freshman year was the worst. That's when I dealt with all of the major exclusion, the bullying, some small bullying here and there. I don't mean like big bullying where you go make a page about somebody, but like, oh, he scratched his ear the wrong way.
It's like
So
the
that,
subtle.
yep, exactly. But my point is, I'm trying to get to the story, which was I had one friend at that time frame, and I'm just going to say that his body is not in the best shape.
He has spina bifida.
Right. So he misses a lot of school. But the sad part was when he missed school, it affected me because I had no one to talk to. And I hate that I was like at the time frame kind of obsessed with him, but it was the only way for me to talk to someone because heck, I was gonna be quiet for the rest of the day because no one would listen. Even if I tried, it would be like, well, there goes a waste of words right there I can't get back.
And were you in a regular school all those years? How did they do it in your district?
The way they did it through me is general ed class, but I had a resource room where I get certain accommodations like extra time on tests. Maybe it was, I'm trying to think here, bear with me. Extra time on tests, maybe a 5-minute sensory break, whatever the case might entail. Now, middle school, they come to you, but we had to go to them. That's where it transitions. And where it transits from middle school to the high school is the older you get in high school, you self-advocate. You are the ones who state, hey, I want the modified vocab test versus freshman middle school, you're getting the modified vocab test and the story.
Yeah.
I'm the
Right.
teacher.
So what was the most difficult thing in school that you felt like you dealt with? Or is it what you were
Just
just
the socializing. Just the
Yeah.
socializing. And I think sometimes the teachers had different personalities and discipline scenarios, whatever. But I mean, the teachers were great and the students were awful, but it's odd. I got odd. It was odd. I got a lot more better on with the adults versus the students.
You
So
probably have more empathy.
I guess I kind of wanted to be friends with the teachers, but students can't do that because that's not appropriate.
I know. So if you could go back, what's something you wished someone could have helped those other students with you as accepting, being open as a friend, as a fellow student? Like, what would you say to those kids today? What did you
Well, I
want from them?
mean, niceness wins. That's something I could say. There is, I know a lot of children right now, and I think of some who was in my class, but I'm not going to say guess who, movie right now. And I've heard this through just and rumors, and I know it's true because I've seen it on social media. But they were the popular kids at the time frame. You just right there, going behind bars. Good luck with that. That's not success right there.
But I have to say, we're looking in though.
Now, there's some exceptions.
There were kids, but even what I noticed as an adult in this situation, and I see this all the time. And, all the time. I mean, I'm every single day which is such a awful age. As
you
far
love them,
as,
apparently.
well, I love them, but as far as existing as a 13, 14-year-old, that is tough. Like it is, and so my thing was even like I don't want to say the good kids. I try not to say that because it's a thing, but even the kids that are considered accepting kids that are nice, they still didn't.
Yeah.
They
didn't know how to take their case, they just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they didn't mean to him, but they kind of were because it was Sam was different than him. And kids, they don't have time for that. They don't have the patience for that. So that was what was very difficult as an outsider. Like, oh my God, I can't change this.
Right. So what do we have to do to help those kids? What would you say if there's something we could work on to help kids with autism be in school to socialize and have that connection? What would you say?
I don't want to start. You can stop if you wish. But I think if school is not working, go outside the box. Go outside of school. How much camps did you put me in? I know I can remember a lot of camps you put me in, Boy Scouts, Taekwondo. So it was still a challenge. I didn't make lifelong friends there, but it was so much easier to socialize versus in school
Okay.
for different factors. One, for Taekwondo, there wasn't much students there. There were some, but social outbug, did my best, felt safe, and a lot of other
Okay.
reasons. But my point here is, if school's not working, go somewhere else. Case in point, I'm a firm believer in starting them early. Our gala speaker, which is this Saturday, Rich Beto, former drummer for Finger 11, at 12 years old, his son is working car windshields and has a 9 to 5 job, and his friends are his two dads. His stepdad, which is Rich Beto, and his biological dad.
Yeah.
Oh
He
my
has
God.
autism. He has autism, but
That is
incredible.
awesome. Right? Yes. That is so incredible.
You can
And
learn
we're
a lot from Rich Beto. I'll tell you, he's not just autism. He has battled bipolar and alcoholism.
wow, what a story. And Gina, were you gonna add anything to that? Did you wanna say something
Um,
there?
yeah, I mean, I think Sam had like keywords where, early intervention, education, but I don't know if it's just the end of the school year talking, but I mean, we are to the point with how I don't know how to say it. Kids are, I mean, but that's been around for years. If I didn't love kids and the kids were not in the forefront of what I did every single not the only reason, but the main reason I'm there are for those kids. There is nothing else that overshadows
Yeah.
being at that school for it if it's not for the kids and to make it's our job. I always say when they come through the school doors, it's my job every day to make it better. I have to make it
You are.
better because sometimes it's not better at home. It's my
Right.
responsibility to make it better.
Let's close your real world teacher.
It's going to be a hard to change. It is going to be a hard end, and I'm not trying to be negative and to be totally pessimistic, but I'm a realist. I'm being real, and it's just because of the world that they are submerged in, that they exist in, and what they are bombarded with social media and with home, with what's on the actual TV, like the media. It's going to be a real challenge to help these kids understand differences. Luckily, happening, you see it on the news, but I guess I'm just saying.
Some kids won't change. They'll think the news is the best outlet. That is still the greatest outsource out there.
It's just.
I mean, am I wrong?
You're not wrong. I guess what I'm saying. It's going to be a real challenge to change it, but that's what Sam's mission is. That's what we do with the nonprofit. But it's that early intervention. When Sam talks to those first graders, second graders in schools, when he goes and he speaks, those are the best things that he can do because they're so little and their little minds are just totally soaking up what Sam is saying, and that's what we have to do.
They're there for that or for the dance breaks? Just wondering.
We do dance breaks, which is also fun.
Yeah. But my question, but in all seriousness, I just hope they're there not for the fun times and they're soaking in that information.
That they're getting something.
Yeah. I mean, they're fun. I'm going to dismantle it. I mean, I think we need to do them. But I'm just wondering, I've always wondered this when we speak at schools. I've never told you this. Are they listening to my speeches and just not, they're like, oh, we get to dance, have fun, woohoo.
No, I think it's probably soaking in.
Oh, yeah. I think it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Without one piece of it, it probably wouldn't even stick as much. So I bet you it's what you're saying, you're showing up, you're telling your story and the music. Like, I think it's the whole package, and they're going to remember that. We remember stories. Is there anything you wish teachers knew or teachers could think differently of when it comes to students with autism that you want to tell us?
Well, there's something I could chime in with quickly. I just wish that more special ed teachers could use our special interests. And let me explain here. So with geometry, I've been good at geometry, but I just wish at a time frame, if someone didn't understand geometry who was on the autism spectrum or whatever, they use their special interest, which could be ice cream cone. Or in my case, it'd be a wrestling ring because of the wrestling. Figuring out you told me right now to find the length, the width, and the height of the, like, what's L times W times H with this wrestling ring square shape. I'm like, oh, I want to figure this out.
Yeah, that's important. That's really important. But I guess with teachers and autism directly, I guess my thing is probably what I would say the same thing. Part of our mission for a nonprofit, um, the same thing that I would say to parents that maybe are struggling with their children on the autism spectrum is I would say you got to pay attention. You have to pay attention to things that are happening that in your mind might be a negative thing. But like let's dig a little bit deeper. Like your son, I mean, I've had a parent one time say to me, we were at a conference or something, and she said, I'm so worried. She said, my son is like 8 or 9. She said, all he wants to do, he loves things that spin. And my brain immediately was like, why are we worried about that? I don't understand why we're worried.
Let's go to a science museum and watch
Yeah.
him play around the Beyblade or something.
Yeah, like how can we? And I would suggest teachers get to where they're teaching the standards. We're working hours and hours. I get it. It's not as easy as I'm making it sound. Again, part of our job is to pay attention and to zoom in on these things. And you have to do that with students on the autism spectrum. They have autism. They're going to have hard days because the world is not built for them. That's the schools aren't built for them.
Mm-mm.
And so it's our responsibility to zoom in on what can I do to like tap into, the things that they love and that they're doing. That's what I would say to a teacher.
I love that. And how did you start the nonprofit? Where did the idea come from? And tell us a little bit more about what you do with that. You touched on it a little bit. Can you tell us a little more?
Yep. So it started when I joined my high school's media club. I fell in love with it so much that I decided I wanted to do it at home. Told her, she didn't know what a podcast was, which I find comical. But I think she just said, go for it. And I started. She learned about it. We did it. But it grew so much that after we developed sponsors for the podcast, we had a family meeting and we decided to turn into a nonprofit where I have a board of, how much now? Help me out.
8.
8. Thank you. 8. And we do event planning where I'm from, which is Indiana. And I've done a lot of speaking gigs. In Oklahoma, I've spoken there, Canada, Orlando, Washington, D.C., and hopefully with you, Delaware.
That's right. And so you go ahead.
I would say we just got back from Canada for the second time. They invited Sam back. We got back last week, and it was wonderful. I think we have 2 trips to Florida, hopefully in the works this summer. We're working out finances, but and then he's spoken at some schools.
Yeah, and then some places around here, but
Yeah.
I meant out of state wise.
Yeah.
So you go to like elementary, middle, or high schools as doing like a little assembly?
I think one of them in Shoals, that was all grade levels,
That was
elementary, middle,
Indiana.
high, yeah.
And then we
Oh.
went he's been to a school up near Indianapolis, and that was elementary, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
just elementary.
But he speaks to all grades and
Okay.
tells his story.
Okay. Well, I think did I mention to you that my elementary school has 3 building-based autism classrooms?
Yes, you had said that. Yes.
Last year we started with 2, now we have 3. And I'm not sure if I mentioned that I interviewed Dr. Stephen Shore, which was so cool. And one thing that he said that really stuck to me that I think is helpful for teachers to hear was he was like, everyone kind of gets a little nervous thinking that they don't have what it takes to teach students with autism because they're not maybe certified. And he said, just have your teachers think about what they do naturally to help support kids who are struggling or in need in any way. And those are actually the same skills. Like, it's okay, use that with your child with autism. And I was like, are you serious? Are you serious? Like, you're making it sound so simple. And sometimes I feel like, well, if I don't have the training for it, I don't know how to do it all well. Right. And he just really flipped that on me. And I was like, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, that is I so can relate to that. And even being a middle school teacher, I mean, I used to when I was younger, because I just figured it out the other day, 18th year.
You're that old. No, I'm kidding.
I am that old.
I'm kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
am that old.
Love you, Mom.
But when at the
Oh.
beginning of my career, I remember I would think, okay, I got to have everything in order, and if I'm going to use a program, I've got to know everything about it. And now I'm like, hey guys, we're going to use this program today. Let's figure it out. And then they teach me, and so
Yeah.
you can't. It's exactly the same.
Oh,
thing.
you should tell them the Zoom story. That I found was I respected you for doing that. Where they said, "Hey, you're doing Zoom. Go figure out how to do it." When COVID started hitting.
COVID
Oh,
hit.
yeah. Oh my gosh, wasn't that? We all no idea what we were.
learned. It was on a Friday right before our spring break, and they said, "Hey, you might want to send the books home with the kids because and we were all like, "Oh, we'll be back." Like we'll be back, on that Monday.
Well, 2 weeks later.
But we weren't.
Crazy.
And then on the Saturday before school was supposed to start again, they said, "Here's the thing. We're doing this e-learning. There's this program called Zoom. Figure it out."
Right.
And I just joke and say, "You give a teacher a project,
They'll do
you
it.
better back up
Yeah.
because we're going to figure it out."
I respect you so much
And
for
we did,
that.
and we did.
Totally. Complete respect, Sam. I am totally with you.
Figured it out.
All right,
48 hours.
Sam, here's my last question for you. So I make educational little 30-second videos on TikTok, and one of my videos has over 500,000 views, and it's what's the 5 things a kid with ADHD wants you to know. And I want to know if you could flip it if I made a video, maybe it's hard to think of 5 things right now, but tell me as many as you can up to 5. What is something a kid with autism wants someone to know?
Well, I can tell you ADHD too because I have it as well. Movement is focus. So me doing this or rocking back and forth or flapping the arms around. That's me focusing. So that's one thing. The second thing with autism is exclusion is just not nice. Just try to incorporate them into your conversation, whether that's small.
Did you say exclusion is not nice?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did I say exclusion is nice?
You
No,
said it. You said
Okay.
it. I heard it.
If I
Okay.
said that, I thought, oh no.
I just didn't hear the
Exclusion is just not nice.
Bingo.
Just
But
include them even in the smallest way.
yep, exactly. And then third, yeah, there's gonna be some hard days. I mean, but you know what? Some of these hard days we might have to do it, but there's ways around it. I can name a story with that. Went to a Hamilton Center. It was raining that day, maybe pouring. Then I was wearing nice clothes. I don't like nice clothes anyway, but I can manage that here and there. But the issue was it got wet. Don't like wet clothes, so I literally had to sit like kind of in this weird this position because that was the only way I could get comfortable. And you kept nagging on me, but I told you, sorry, that's where I'm sitting, unless you want me to leave.
I'm a mom. So.
Hey, it's called Mom Missed It for a reason. But anyway, 4, I would say that something else here. Put me on the spot already. Some are bottom up visual thinkers. They think in pictures, not words. Stealing that from Temple. Sorry, Temple, if you're listening. But
She's right.
yeah, the 5th thing is that no matter what they are doing, it can lead them somewhere. That early intervention that you said is important. If they're in that kitchen, let them be in that kitchen because you never know. They might be going from kitchen to executive chef to Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, when you know somebody that did that. Yeah, he knows a contestant that started as cooking in the kitchen. He went to executive chef and
he went to Hell's Kitchen, then executive chef.
Then he was on Hell's Kitchen and now he's an executive chef. He's been on Sam's show.
I guess comment him a little bit. Tommy Stevens is his name, season 9 competitor. Reason why I had him is if you look at him, you probably would think he's a gangbanger. But when you talk to him, the nicest person you'll ever meet.
Wow, isn't that crazy? And what you said, Gina, just notice or observe. Wasn't that what you said?
Yeah, go ahead. Your turn now.
Like notice and observe. And if they're spinning, don't get upset or worried about it. Actually, take them to a merry-go-round. Take them to something else that's just go with it.
Just go. That's it. We had. I've said that. That's really part of our nonprofit mission is the success of all. But to get to that success, sometimes you have to zoom in and tap into the the non-traditional stuff. That's
wow.
you have to do. Yeah, you have to do that. We were at a conference one time And I always tell this story because it was so powerful to me. But there was a dad had an 8-year-old son who was recently diagnosed with autism. And he came up to my booth and he cried, sobbed, and he said, I'm so worried. Like all this whole future that I imagined for my son, I feel like is not going to happen now. And of course, I'm sitting back. I'm only an expert, and I was there. Sam got diagnosed with autism. I went to bed for 4 days. I I didn't sign up for that. I didn't agree to that. And so I was angry. I was scared. I wanted him to be fixed. I wanted to figure out how to fix him. And that was very short lived. That I said to him, he started to say, well, my son, he makes these crazy, silly, like YouTube videos. He's obsessed with it. And I was like, wait,
Let's have him make a YouTube channel.
he knows how to make YouTube videos. And he was like, oh, yeah, he's like really good at it. And he said, he wants to like put them on TikTok and I said, go home and let him like set up the safety, the privacy controls, like do all of that. But there's something there. It's just when, like he said, I want to start a podcast. What? I don't know what that is, but
you learn.
So that's my biggest thing.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. That's so helpful. And so lastly, how can someone find and follow you? I have enjoyed every moment of this. I love it. I could keep going. But you
can follow me on autismrocksrolls.com. That's my website.
It's new.
Oh, no, it's autismrocksrolls.com.
No, it's www.
Let me just show you.
Oh, we'll
put it in the show notes.
He's testing.
And we'll put it in the description.
Autismrocksandrolls.com.
Yeah, go for it. You want to try it?
autismrocksandrolls.com, and then what? Tell me.
I was going to say info@autismrocksandrolls.com. But you can find me on all the media platforms out there. If you think I'm there, I'm probably there.
I love
and Google
it.
Search. Google will tell you anything.
We will say very quickly before you have to hang up. I do want to give these people a plug.
Go ahead.
They don't have time for that. No, I'm messing with you.
Sam is recently a Star Panel ambassador for the Doug Flutie Foundation in Florida. And they are incredible people who have really jumped on board with Autism Rocks and Rolls and are really going to help fund and help Sam do this. So we want to tell about them because they're amazing. So
that's so awesome. Thank you so much. And I, Sam, will do my work and homework to get you to come to Delaware to my school. And yes, you can hold me to that. And I'm so excited. Teachers need to hear more of this. Parents, I know a parent who just had their 3-year-old diagnosed and they have a ton of questions and they are like, what do I do? How do I just help me. And your mission, your vision, what you're sharing, kids need to hear it. The teachers need to hear it. So many families need to hear it. And we have to help our society embrace this on such a different level than we are thinking of it today. You are going to be at the forefront of shifting that paradigm for us. Thank you. So every time you wake up and you feel tired, I just want to encourage you, go, because we need you. We do.
I needed it. We have two.
Whenever you do a cheerleader, call me up because that's what I'm good at. I'm always good at yeah, this is awesome. Thank you. You're making a difference. Every minute counts, and it's exciting to be a part of this whole evolution of it. I am so excited to see what's going to happen this year for you, what doors are going to open up. And I am just, if I can support you in any way, please let me know. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. It was a pleasure and a privilege to have you on my podcast today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.